Three, two, one. Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from MRC Newsbusters, America's media watchdog. It's from January 29th, and it is entitled Washington Post. Philip Bump claims Fox's fake tactics hurt trust in MSNBC. And I kind of laughed when I saw that because I'm like, there's people out there who actually have trust in MSNBC. Like, who are those people? Like, I'm not sure the people who even work for MSNBC have trust in MSNBC. And by the way, like, if you don't know who Philip Bump is, there's actually a video, I want to say. He was on a podcast a few months ago, and the podcast host brought up Hunter Biden's laptop, and this dude had like this guy, Philip Bump, had like a spaz out about it, just like, I don't know what you're talking about. What? I didn't hear about this. What, huh? It was nuts. You should go look it up because this is a guy who lives very much in a bubble, and you can tell. And because of that, he doesn't really know what he's talking about. So that's why I wanted to do this video, is just to point out who this guy is and that he's to call him a hack is an insult to hacks. It says appearing as a guest on Friday's the 11th hour on MSNBC, Washington Post columnist Philip Bump alleged that right-leaning media outlets like Fox News and Breitbart tell fake things to their viewers and, in doing so, cause people to disbelieve the true things that are discussed by MSNBC and the Washington Post. Now, I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to ask a question. I think I've asked this question before on at least one video, and I think it was like one of my very first ones that I did, probably within the first five. And I'm talking about my talkie videos, not the ones where I do the stupid little clip stuff. And that question is, since Trump was given the nomination, or not given, but I had received the nomination for president back in 2015. So from then until whatever time it is that you are listening to this video, how many times in just this last 9 years or so has the mainstream media, so like MSNBC and the Washington Post, or anybody that's like on the left, not just anybody, like, an individual person like this guy, but, news organization, how many times have they reported fake news out to people? I mean, just off the top of your head, you could probably say like, okay, well, the Covington Catholic kids hoax, you could say the Russia hoax, you could say the Jussie Smollett thing, the Bubba Wallace news poll, and John Nolte from Breitbart has compiled all these things. And there's a video that I have fairly recently that I showed them that there's like at least 26 hoaxes in just 9 years that the news media has propped up as things that actually happened. This is all coming from places like MSNBC and Washington Post. How many saying the same thing? How many times has something like that happened to Fox or a Breitbart? Okay. Like, I don't watch Fox at all. Um, in Breitbart, I do visit regularly. I don't recall Breitbart having to offer some sort of mea culpa on a story that they got wrong, like that was factually incorrect. Okay. And if there is one, by all means, point it out. Please do that. And I'd expand that not just to Breitbart and Fox, but I would say like, you know, Newsmax, OAN on TV, if you're doing that, even like, websites like do Red State, Daily Wire, townhall.com and all their affiliated sites like Red State, as I just mentioned, stuff like that. Individual people as well on Twitter. Like, how many times do you see those people getting fact check? That are news people, not just like some right winger, like a Charlie Kirk, for instance, that's not actually like a journalist. I don't think you really see that much. Okay, certainly not 26 massive hoaxes in 9 years. Okay, in fact, I don't think there's a single hoax, but this guy just, again, this is what I mean, like living in an echo chamber, and he's talking about his things that are fake that he's trying to pass off as true while denouncing the things that are true that he passes off as fake. So enough of me talking. Let's just keep going. So there's this lack of self-awareness of how Bump and his MSNBC friends sound very partisan in their journalistic hot takes came during a discussion of the Los Angeles Times and Time Magazine announcing layoffs and the decline of local newspapers. Good. It couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people. Said that in a previous video. Don't care. I have zero emotional reaction to that. So Stephanie Rule began the segment, said on Tuesday, the LA Times announced it is laying off more than 100 people. That is over 20% of its newsroom. In the last week alone, there have been job cuts at Sports Illustrated and Time and National Geographic. It has been even worse for local newspapers. Over 130 closed or merged in the last year. And right here is where you'd insert that Jeremy Clarkson phrase that, oh no, anyway. So she then turned to Bump and posed, Philip, as we like to say on the show, the truth matters, but only if you hear it. Okay. Says we're going into a general election. How important is it for people to know the truth and understand what's actually happening in our country? Well, again, you're on MSNBC, so I don't know why you're talking about the truth. You guys seem to be very allergic to it. Says Biden declared that journalists like himself wanted to make sure we understand what's happening in the world and convey it as well as we can to people, and then took aim at right-leaning media. I'm not going to play the video, but we'll read his quote that starts with saying, "I think one understated thing, and then I think we all understand it, but others may not, is the extent to which there exists an alternate reality, a different universe of media which is telling you a very different story," which, in my opinion, happens to be the truth. Says I wrote about this last year for Neiman Lab for the Neiman School. I've never heard of either of those places. Says, and the point that I tried to make there is a universe which is very big and very strong, saying things that it wants to hear and its base wants to hear. Philip, I have a mirror I'm going to hold up to you. Let me know what you see. Says in the Neiman Labs piece, which is linked there, says he suggested there is now an omnipresent rumble of dismissal and hatred and violence, largely from the right. Says violence. Bum further complained. Yeah, what violence from the right? I don't really see that, but okay. Like it happens once in a blue moon, but okay. So he said, and it's bigger and stronger when it's not. And there's been so little pushback on it that it makes the fake things they're seeing seem more true because we have all of the more media outlets. Notice right here, though, that he's not actually saying what those things are. He's just saying there are fake things. Okay. So that should give you pause right away. This is what these folks on these news networks and these newsrooms like to do, these left wingers, is they like to just be super general in what they're saying. They just say that the news is fake. And then like that's it, and nobody pushes back on them. If he was talking to like Stephanie Rule in this case, she's just going to be there nodding along, and it's like someone should just go like what? Just ask him for an example. Like he can't do it, and if he does do it, you're going to see him get his ass fact checked in like 3 seconds flat. Anyway, back to his dumbass quote, and it makes true things that are happening in the outside world, here and in the Washington Post and other places, make that seem more false, right? No, it doesn't, but okay. It's because we've so long let this sort of exist and not challenged it, we end up in the scenario where they don't view what we're doing as valuable because they have Fox News and they have Breitbart who's telling them the real thing. No, they're telling us the real thing. They're absolutely more credible than you. But I like how he's sitting here doing it like he's got this completely backwards and he will never figure it out. So then they have Donald Trump who's telling them the real thing. That's a problem. Well, say what we want about Trump. I definitely am not a person that believes everything that Trump says, but certainly a better option than Joe Biden. I mean, the my naval lint is a better option than Joe Biden. And why is that problem, Philip? Again, you haven't actually named a thing. You've just kind of said it's there. I mean, this is like if you were to run up to me and be like, "Oh my God, like I saw a ghost," and I'd be like, "Where?" And you'd be like, "What? You just don't believe me?" It's like, well, I kind of want proof. Like, can you prove your claim? Well, what you should just believe me, like unquestionably. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. It says Bump didn't offer specifics of the fake news on. Yeah, see here, then this is that on the fake news on Fox News or Breitbart. It just assumed that anything pro-Trump is loaded with deceit. Right, exactly. So can we officially say that he has TDS? Says, ironically, it was just earlier the same day when, on the same network, MSNBC analyst Maria Hinojosa spread misinformation about border security to undermine presidential candidate Donald Trump in such a fashion that contrasts sharply with the more accurate reporting that is frequently seen on Fox News and rarely seen on outlets like CNN, where Bump also frequently appears on MSNBC. Well, Philip, seems like you're getting around to all the wrong places, my friend. And yeah, I mean, if you want to see stuff about the border, like go ahead and look at Fox. There's a guy named I can't pronounce his last name really well. It's like Bill Melgwin or something. Malugan, something like that. He knows everything about what's going on at the border, and these guys on MSNBC and CNN like won't have him on at all. But he goes on Fox and he tells you like what's happening. He's a huge reason why we know about what's actually happening there. Anyway, what do you think about this dumbass? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.